I had breakfast with one of the top 5 probably most powerful officials in the country in Britain in January 2023. And he just come back from one of these NATO meetings, and he said to me, they're all sitting around with he was with the British Prime Minister, Macron, Scholz, Biden, blah blah, and he said Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor, was literally like had a huge pad and would write every time like Sunak or someone would speak, it would be like massive letters, Sunak, Macron. Jake Sullivan would be writing on this huge pad, right, and putting in front of Biden, and everyone could see this, right? So that was said to me in
so
January.
He knew who he was responding to.
Yeah, because he's like, brain, like, he had to be reminded that, like, who Macron? The guy there is Macron, right? That's how bad it was. And I was told that by this guy who watched it happen in, like, I think end of January 2023. And that's a guy in Britain, right? That's not someone who's, sitting working in the White House and involved all the time. So clearly, a lot of people around the core of the deep state who were in these meetings with Biden knew the truth about it for a long time.
Yeah, and they covered it up. Right, 5 rules here on how government really works.
Win the election. But we're now in a situation where that sort of incentive is basically broken, and they actually spend all their time just on this daily news cycle. And once that happens, 2 fundamental things happen. One, they stop paying attention to actually good government.
Right. I love journalism. Right. I love following the news. I subscribe to numerous newspapers, but reality shows me that many very intelligent, very accomplished people lead, high quality lives, paying minimal attention to the news.
And 2, they stop thinking about the voters and they think about what the editor of the New York Times thinks, or the Laura Koonsberg at ABC, etc., etc.
If you don't share this priority, you don't get promoted.
Yeah, so if you look after COVID, what's happened? Basically, like the officials, the people who were proved right and who saved thousands of people's lives have almost entirely 100% gone from public service and hounded out. The excellent woman who ran the vaccine task force, for example.
Right. So the people who are right about what a disaster it would be to invade Iraq in 2003 received no reward, and the people who are wrong and pushed the Iraq invasion, right? Jeffrey Goldberg, still editor of the Atlantic. All right, the media elite who pushed the 2003 invasion of Iraq, right, their careers, their incomes, their status has not suffered from pushing such a disastrous policy. And those who are right to say this is going to be a disaster, they received no rewards.
Was trashed all over the media, whereas officials who completely screwed up, did a shocking job, cost many lives, cost huge economic damage, have largely been promoted and often given gongs. The nightmare woman who gave us duff advice after duff advice in February through March, like don't close the borders, masks are counterproductive and don't work, all this kind of crazy shit. She was promoted and put in charge of the new biosecurity agency that was created to replace the complete shitshow biosecurity agency that fell apart in COVID.
We're talking about sort of retrospectively learning about yourself. Since moving to the US, I've learned a lot about the UK in comparison. I'd say I probably learned more about...
Right. You often don't see things until you have changed your situation. All right. You often see